32 minutes past 8 in the morning. A lawyer representing opposition politician Mamadou Sabally was denied access to his client, who was arrested more than a week ago and detained without charge. The UDP campaign manager is set to appear in court for the first time since his arrest next week. On Thursday, the 29th of December, lawyer Abdoulie Fati went to the police alone, where he was denied access to his client. He tried to find out whether the prohibition was by order of the police chief, but he was unable to reach him by phone. The basic principles of the role of lawyers state that governments must ensure that lawyers are able to consult with their clients freely. Counsel Fati spoke to Coffee Time shortly after leaving the headquarters of the Police Intervention Unit, the PIU.
I went to see my client this afternoon, having filed the documents in court yesterday. We're going to court on Tuesday, the 3rd of January 2023. So I went to consult with my client to take him through exactly what is happening and to take forward instructions from him. So when I arrived at the PIU headquarters, I announced my appearance that I visited to see my client. So the PIU at the gate went inside, came back 3 minutes later and told me that almost like basically there was an embargo, that nobody could see him. So I said to him, no, I have been here before, and that my visit, that I wasn't a normal visitor, that I was his lawyer. And I had my file, so I held my file containing the court documents. So he said to me, okay. So he went back, came back and said the person in charge went for prayers and asked if I could wait. So I waited a little bit, came back later, back and forth. So all in all, it took me about at least 45 minutes. So in the end, he came back to speak to the officer, the commissioner, the officer in charge of the PIU in Kanifing. He came back and told me that even though Sabally was physically in their custody, but then in terms of seeing him, I had to get special clearance from the police headquarters in Banjul. So I contacted the police headquarters in Banjul. I contacted those who were responsible for interrogating Sabally last week. So I contacted someone in Banjul who told me no, that I needed to go back to the PIU commissioner, that they were responsible. So in the end, it was a ping-pong match. So they were, pushing me from pillar to post. So clearly I knew that I wasn't going to see him. So I called the Inspector General of Police. He didn't answer. Perhaps he was busy or he was in a meeting, I don't know. So I decided to post this on my Twitter handle because I thought this was so important. Sabally has been arrested for over a week. He's been in detention for about 9-10 days now. He's not been charged with any offense whatsoever. And even though I had previously had access to him, I don't know why, for some reason, the police decided to restrict that access. But this is a very, very serious matter because it is a constitutional right. It's a constitutional right in order to prepare your defense in any determination of a criminal or a civil matter. So the state law office prepared documents and went to court last week. I have a right to consult with my client. My client has a right to consult with his lawyer. So if the state is depriving my client of that legal privilege and benefit, then that means there is inequality of arms, which is very serious. So clearly, when my file, so Mr. Sabally didn't have the benefit of consulting with him. So he doesn't know what is going on, and I cannot seek any further information from him. So, you see, I cannot begin to express my frustration because, so many things happen in this country under Yahya Jammeh. So many things in terms of abuse of power and abuse of rights, fundamental rights and freedoms. So when we voted in 2016 to remove Jammeh and install a new administration, we expected the new Gambia and a complete departure from the terrible things, the abuse and the violations that occurred under Yahya Jammeh. So some of these things, really, I would never have expected to happen. It is really terrible, you know. But when I go to court on Tuesday, the first thing I will tell the judge is that lately the state has even deprived my client of his constitutional right and well-established privilege of communication between lawyer and his client. I will inform the court, and if necessary, we'll also file an appropriate action in court to seek for an enforcement and a declaration of an infringement or a violation of his constitutional right. You know, because this is a right that is provided for under Chapter 4 of the 1997 Constitution. Because when you've been charged with any offense or when you've been arrested, all this sort of thing, it is clear in the Constitution that person has a right to legal advice or legal representation as soon as reasonably possible. But throughout, the police have always given me access. Even they've always spent at least half hour or so before they allow me in. But those are some of the inconveniences that you are able to, that you can just brush to one side as long as you are ultimately able to meet and consult with your client. But today, for some reason, it looks like both at the PIU hierarchy as well as the top senior command in Banjul had probably decided deliberately that they were going to restrict any form of communication with him, particularly his lawyer. So for whatever reason, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, they denied me access to my client today. And I think that is a very, very, very serious restriction of his constitutional right. Sabally was arrested on Wednesday last week. It is Thursday today, and he's still not been charged with anything. Yet he continues to languish in state custody.
That's lawyer Abdoulie Fati, representing Mamadou Sabally, the UDP campaign manager.